It was supposed to be just another loud, over-caffeinated morning at the ESPN studio. Rex Ryan had his coffee, his notes, and that trademark, "I know football better than you" smirk. But what happened next? Let's just say, by the end of the show, he walked out with his ego handed to him, gift-wrapped by Michael Irvin himself. It all started with a clip. Shedeur Sanders, calm, confident, cold-blooded, had just made another clutch play. And instead of a simple high five or sideline nod, he pulled out that gesture. The slow, deliberate mime celebration. That "I'm built different" move that instantly divided the internet. Half the crowd called it swagger. The other half acted like he just disrespected football itself. And right on cue, Rex Ryan grabbed a mic. Rex looked straight into the camera and went off. Why the hell isn't he putting Shedeur Sanders in? We're all waiting to see this kid be the guy. Something's missing. This kid runs his mouth like he's a starter, arms crossed, acting too cool. Get your ass in the front row and study. If I know, the whole league knows. Quit being an embarrassment. You've got the talent. You should be embarrassed you're not playing. The room went quiet. And then, Michael Irvin's eyebrow twitched. You could feel it coming. The storm was brewing. When Irvin heard that rant, he didn't just disagree, he detonated. That was outline, Rex. You're not in those meeting rooms. You don't know what that kid does or doesn't do. If you got sources saying he's sitting in the back of the room, not paying attention, fine. Say it. But don't just make up stories because you want to sound viral. Boom. The playmaker had entered the chat. And Rex Ryan? He just blinked, trying to figure out how his morning take turned into a live demolition. Rex Ryan represents the old world, discipline, grit, the no-fun zone. Michael Irvin? He's the bridge between eras, the legend who earned his flash. And Shedeur Sanders? He's the future. Irvin saw Rex's criticism for what it really was, another attack on the new generation of players who dare to have confidence. Because let's be honest, when Tom Brady screams and pumps his fists, it's called passion. When Shedeur mimes his watch, it's cocky. Funny how that works. Irvin leaned forward, that fiery preacher tone kicking in. You loud, Rex. You were loud when you coached. You were loud when you promised Super Bowls. Every year it was, "This is the year we're gonna do it." And you didn't. You talk about being embarrassed? Rex, you should be embarrassed. The panel went silent. Even the microphones seemed scared. Rex tried to push back, but Irvin wasn't finished. He wasn't just defending Shedeur, he was defending a mindset. Irvin's voice boomed through the studio. Every man in the NFL, every man, has to believe he's good enough to play. You have to. That's how this league works. So why criticize Shedeur for believing in himself? That's the difference right there. Confidence is survival in football. Swagger isn't disrespect, it's armor. It's what gets you up after you've been hit 10 times in the first quarter. And Irvin, he gets that. What made the whole thing even funnier was how hypocritical Rex's rant was. This is the same guy who built his entire coaching career on fire, flash, and trash talk. The same Rex Ryan who shouted, "We're winning the Super Bowl," before the season even started, every single year. The same Rex Ryan whose career highlight reel includes sideline meltdowns, wild quotes, and one infamous but fumble era. And now he's lecturing Shedeur Sanders about humility? Come on, Rex. As soon as Irvin dropped that verbal hammer, social media lost its mind. Clips of the debate hit Twitter in seconds. Memes flooded in. Fans are tagging Rex, telling him to log off for the day. Hashtag Team Irvin started trending. People were calling it the Studio Super Bowl. And let's be honest, Irvin didn't just win. He dominated. To Irvin, this was bigger than one player or one take. It was about respect. Rex wasn't criticizing Shedeur's game. He was questioning his character. And Irvin, a man who's lived through every stereotype, every headline, and every judgment from the media, wasn't about to let that slide. You don't know that kid, Rex. You're talking like you sit next to him in film study. You're talking like you know he's not grinding. You don't. The emotion was real. The passion was raw. Irvin wasn't defending a name. He was defending a generation. Let's not forget, Shedeur isn't just anyone. He's Deion Sanders' son. That means the spotlight burns 10 times brighter. Every gesture becomes a headline. Every smile becomes a story. Every celebration becomes a controversy. But here's the thing, Shedeur was built for this. Confidence isn't new to him. It's inherited. He grew up watching primetime turn pressure into performance. So when Rex Ryan took a shot at him, it wasn't just about Shedeur, it was about the Sanders legacy. By now, Irvin was on a roll. His energy filled the entire studio. It wasn't a debate anymore, it was a sermon. Listen, Rex, if he had called a press conference and said, "I'm better than every quarterback in the NFL," fine, we'd have a problem. But he was asked a question. What do you expect him to say? Nah, I'm trash. Every man in that locker room believes he can play. That's what makes them professionals. The crowd watching from home went wild. Even the hosts were trying to keep straight faces. Within minutes, the internet had clips of Irvin preaching like he was leading a revival. Playmaker preaching the gospel. One caption said. Another. Rex tried to yell. Irvin yelled louder. Even Shedeur himself didn't have to say a word. Michael Irvin did the talking for him. And somewhere in Cleveland, Shedeur was probably smirking, watching the chaos unfold like, see? Told you. The irony in all this? Rex Ryan once was Shedeur Sanders. Loud, confident, polarizing. He made his name on bold promises and big talk. But now, when a young player shows that same energy, Rex calls it immature. That's what Irvin exposed, the double standard. Older voices in football want swagger, just not from this generation. But the game has changed. Personality is the product now. Irvin's closing argument could have been a movie monologue. You don't have to like how he carries himself, Rex, but you will respect it. Confidence is not disrespect. Swagger is not sin. You can't tell a man raised by prime time to stop shining. That line hit harder than any helmet-to-helmet tackle. Because he's right. We tune in for moments that make us feel. We love the energy, the rivalry, the fire. And Shedeur gives us that every single time. By the next morning, sports blogs and TikToks had turned the debate into a phenomenon. Fans were picking sides. Clips of Irvin shouting, "He's not in those meetings," hit 1 million views. Even former players jumped in. Most sided with Irvin. They said what fans already knew, the league needs that spark. One player tweeted, "Confidence ain't arrogance. It's survival. Let the kid cook." Irvin's explosion wasn't just a moment. It was a movement. It reminded the world why football needs personalities like Shedeur. Without swagger, the sport turns robotic. Without individuality, it becomes just numbers and stats. Shedeur brings storylines, style, and emotion. He's not playing just to win. He's playing to inspire. Irvin saw that immediately. Rex never will. At its core, this wasn't about football. It was about culture. Rex spoke like a coach stuck in 2005, where players were expected to stay quiet, obey, and disappear. Irvin spoke like a leader from 2025, where players are brands, influencers, and icons. And Shedeur Sanders? He's the face of that evolution. He's not just throwing touchdowns. He's shaping the future of the game. When the show ended, you could almost see Rex Ryan's soul leave the studio. Irvin had cooked him so thoroughly the internet started calling it the Playmaker's Masterclass. Rex tried to backtrack online later, saying his comments were just passion, but it was too late. The clips were everywhere. The fans had chosen their winner. Michael Irvin didn't just defend Shedeur Sanders. He defended confidence itself. The truth is, people like Rex Ryan don't realize what makes players like Shedeur special. It's not just the skill. It's the spirit. That "I belong here" energy. That fearless charisma. The same thing that made Dion primetime. The same thing that made Irvin a legend. And now, it's what makes Shedeur must-watch TV. You can't coach that. You can't teach that. You can only respect it or get left behind. Irvin's last words that day might as well be engraved in highlight history. You're talking like you know that man, Rex. Like you're in his locker room, at his practice, watching him grind. You're not. So stop acting like you are. You've been around the game long enough to know better. Then he paused, looked directly at the camera, and said, "When the playmaker defends you, it's not just protection. It's prophecy." Mic drop. That one debate turned into something bigger than anyone expected. Fans saw it not as a shouting match, but as a passing of the torch. Old school football, meet the new generation. And guess what? The new generation fights back. Shedeur didn't need a clapback online. Irvin already did. And in doing so, he turned a viral moment into a movement about authenticity and confidence. Here's the thing, swagger isn't the enemy. It's the evolution. Football thrives when it's fueled by personality. When confidence meets craft. When fire meets finesse. That's what Irvin reminded everyone that day. And that's what Shedeur Sanders represents: unapologetic greatness. So the next time someone says, "Get your ass in the front row and study," remember this: confidence isn't arrogance, it's belief. And when belief meets talent, you don't just get touchdowns, you get moments that live forever. He defended the heartbeat of modern football. He stood up for every young player told to calm down. And he reminded the world that swagger, real swagger, is not the problem. It's the product. And Shedeur Sanders? He's the brand. When the debate ended, Rex Ryan looked flustered. Michael Irvin looked victorious. And Shedeur Sanders? He didn't have to say a single word. Because when the playmaker preaches, the world listens.